The Geordie View, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. Cracking celebration with the atmosphere, with the whole takeover. But yet again, just another dog-shite performance from Newcastle once again. Steve Bruce has had his 1,000 game. Surely the trigger's got to be pulled on him now.
It's a matter of time, I think. Ashley's obviously been waiting for the club to be sold rather than sack him. His days numbered. I think it was at 1 to 12 I seen for him to be the next manager sacked, and that was before this game. Imagine what it'll be like now.
Yeah, started the game off well, scored very early through Callum Wilson, but then after that we just go to shit once again. And again, it's down to this manager. He has to be fired now.
Well, yeah, just sitting off them, and to be fair, the defence didn't help. Who's marking Ndombele for his goal? Cracking finish, but who's marking him? Kane. Oh, just knew he was going to score. No goals in the Premier League this season, and he was crap for England the other night. I knew he was going to score against her. But yeah, he just beat the offside trap. Darlow, you could question him. Maybe the defence is missing Martin Dubravka right now.
Well, but these players still have to step up. It's not good enough. And second half was just not any better, was it?
Well, Spurs just slow, just passing around. We're just happy to see out the game, really. Frustrated us that the players kept going down. Shelby was definitely frustrated with the red card, but at the end of the day, the guy's finished. I can see him going in January. I'll be surprised if he's here next season.
We're going to have to mention the game got abandoned after there was a bit of an emergency that happened. Someone suffered apparently a cardiac arrest. I could see the bloke had to do CPR. Hopefully the bloke is alright, and he looks like he's been taken to hospital.
Yeah, obviously it's more important than the result today that that person gets well soon. Send my best wishes to them.
Yeah. If Steve Bruce was to be fired, but we don't bring a manager, should we would you give it to Graham Jones against Crystal Palace next week?
I'd give him temporary. I've given it temporarily. They'll probably want to do something different, which is fair enough. But I think Graham Jones for one game against Palace, that'll be all right.
Probably would be. Cheers, Lawrence. Paul, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. Great celebration atmosphere with the whole takeover, but yet again just absolutely ruined by another dog-shite performance from Newcastle. Steve Bruce, he's had his 1,000 game. Surely that's got to be the end for him now. It has to be.
Yeah, he's got to go, and he's got to go tonight. I think they have to announce that he's leaving the club tonight, just to give these fans a bit of closure on this, because it's ridiculous. That was the atmosphere in there before the game was unbelievable. I've never heard St James's felt like that for years. And then all of a sudden we start well, we go 1-0 up, the place is bouncing, and what happens? We go back to the old ways. They don't even play off the crowd. And some of the decisions that monstrous man made again today, it was just. It baffles me, Pete. It baffles me now.
Surely does. As I mentioned, we took the lead early on, but then same old, we just go to shit. What did you make of Marina's performance? I didn't think he really put a foot wrong. What do you think of his refereeing the day?
I don't think he did anything particularly wrong. Shelby's sending off was a bona fide yellow card again, so 2 yellows in short space of time. But then you've got to look at yourselves rather than a referee. We go off the boil again. The manager keeps Joe Linton on the pitch for 90 minutes, which is a sackable offence in its own right, keeping that idiot on. He was terrible today. I've praised him the last couple of weeks as well, and it was bollocks. The whole thing was just bollocks. And, you look at his decisions and you think, the players don't show any attitude to get back in the game. They just look lost. There's no guidance there from the managers, from the sidelines. So, for me, he's got to go. Let's start again. Sack him tonight. Get somebody in the next couple of days who can work with these players before Palace, because I can't see a win coming from anywhere.
Exactly. If we do get Bruce, but we don't bring a manager in, should we give Graham Jones a chance against Palace?
Possibly. Jones has made it known that he doesn't want the job, but maybe it's just for one game. Just until they get somebody else in. I think that might be a good idea. I would certainly say that we'd get a response from the team, But at the minute, there's nothing there. If they keep Steve Bruce another week, we've got nothing. Palace will beat us. We'll still go without a win. But we don't want to get too far adrift, Pete, because if we get too far adrift, there's no coming back. You know, and it'll be hard getting players in January to say, oh, by the way, we're in a relegation battle, but, you know, this is what we're building for the future. It's hard to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, the game had to be abandoned because of an incident that happened in the East Stand. I mean, could you see what happened from where you were sitting?
All I knew was that it was a cardiac arrest, but apparently he's stable in hospital, so that's good to know. So, you know, thoughts and prayers with his family, but I think he's going to be okay. So it was a little bit baffling. Well, it took so long to get a defibrillator over there. Bit of confusion, but in the end, they did. You know, the medical team did what they had to do, and you know, that's priority rather than the result today, really.
Certainly was. Well, cheers, man.
That's good.
Archer, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. We had a cracking atmosphere at the start with the whole takeover, but yet again, just utterly ruined by another shocking performance from Newcastle once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like first half, we literally scored within about 2 minutes or so. Wilson scored, and obviously before the game, the atmosphere was amazing because the Gallagher flags were out and everything. But like again, once Wilson scored, Tottenham were just all ours for first half. We absolutely crap first half.
It was far too easily for them. Steve Bruce has had his 1,000 game as manager now. Surely that has got to be the end of Steve Bruce now. The trigger has to be pulled on him right tonight or first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'd be happy if he goes like tomorrow or even just before the Palace game, because Bruce needs to go now. His time is up. Like we've literally lost about like what five games. 5 games and we've only drew 3. That's just bang out of order. Like Steve Bruce needs to go on. Obviously, I'm kind of I'm really buzzing about that we've finally got the takeover done from last week. Obviously, Amanda Staveley is. I'm glad we've got Amanda Staveley and obviously the Saudis in and all that. But like Steve Bruce needs to go. He's absolutely shit.
Certainly is. The crowd fans making the noises once again. Shelby, what was he doing, or did he have to do that?
Oh, Voldemort! Oh, fucking hell! Well, he decides to bring Voldemort on, and the next minute he decides to like hack the player and gets a red card. Shelby was just absolutely shocking. Like, should have brought Jesus on. Jesus would have done our reach, Jeff Hendrick. But but we're just absolutely crap. Like Clark's crap. What's the point playing Clark when we had Fernandez or Fabian Shaw? One of them two, I would have picked over Clark. But Shelby was just absolutely shocking. Like, obviously. Like, just when we're 2-1 doing, like where I was in the Gallagher end, had to stop the game for emergency medical reasons.
Yeah, fortunately, what Paul's just told me, the person who did suffer the cardiac arrest is stable in hospital, so it looks like he is going to be all right. But that was something that was heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking to see. Just hope the person is going to be okay and gets the medical attention that he needs. It was quite scary and intense because we had to like literally stop the game. All the fans were telling the ref, you need to stop the game.
It came from my side as well.
It did, but it was just absolutely awful. But yeah.
One more thing, just quickly before we get to it. If we sack Steve Bruce, but we don't get a new manager in straight away, should we give Graham Jones a one game to try against Crystal Palace away?
If Bruce goes, then probably give him a shout. Maybe just for one game. But then for me, I would like to see either Frank Lampard or Conte as a new gaffer for Newcastle.
Well, we'll see what happens. Well, you can do your thing now.
Right, Steve Bruce, look into my eyes. You need to get out of our club now, you piece of shite.
Shaggy, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. What a cracking atmosphere with the start to celebrate the whole takeover, but to be ruined by a crap performance from Newcastle United once again.
Yeah, Steve Bruce knows how to kill a mood, doesn't he? With his awful tactics. And it was a really good atmosphere, you know, from the very get-go, from the minute I walked to the ground to getting into the ground, being, you know, behind the Gala Gate with the flags, and everyone was so upbeat and happy and just looking forward to the game. And, you know, we got the perfect start for Callum Wilson, great header. And you're thinking, right, okay, we could be up to something here. We could get our first win of the season, maybe try and grab a second. But Newcastle do what Newcastle always do under Steve Bruce. Sit back, do absolutely nothing. Sit back on a 1-0 lead and hope for the best. But Spurs have got quality, we know this. I know they've not had the best of starts, but, you know, with their quality and Harry Kane's son, they're always going to cause you an issue. And from the minute, you know, we scored the goal after a couple of minutes, played all right for, you know, I'd say 15 minutes. Spurs, you know, they really kicked on from about the 70th minute, and they scored 2 goals in 5 minutes, and that tells you a lot on how poor we are defending.
Yep. Bruce has had his 1,000 game as Premier League manager. Surely that's got to be the trigger pulled now. It's got to be now, isn't it?
Well, I can understand why they gave him game 1,000, because the new owners, they've only been in the club 5 minutes, so they need to try and, you know, analyse what's going on. They've been in the ground today. They've seen, you know, the stadium for what it is and at its very best. And I said the mood was killed after about, you know, 15 minutes, and just as I said, the squad for me is not good enough. You know, the defending's shocking. That needs to be replaced. But as you're saying, the manager, Bruce, well, he's tactically out his depth. He knows this. And I think the best way now is just to part ways. But the thing is, the owners, as I said, have only been in, you know, the door a week and a bit, but they need to bring in their man. Have they got the new man? I really don't know. But with this performance, I think for me it's alarm bells.
Exactly. Well, if we do get sack Bruce, but we don't get a new manager, would you give Graham Jones a one game against Palace, see what he can do?
It's a difficult one, because I think with the new owners, they're going to want to bring their own people in. As much as I love Graham Jones, I love him to stay on. It's difficult to predict the future. But in terms of, like I say, the actual game itself, the second half was very worrying as well. You know, no pressing whatsoever. Spurs give a glimmer of hope. Obviously, they did go 3-1 up. Shelby as well lost his way, didn't he? 20
What's he doing?
Again, just 2 silly tackles that he doesn't have to make. Obviously, he's going to be missing, but he won't be missed anyway because he doesn't really do much. Not anymore, he doesn't. But for me, I'd like to see him gone tonight. You know, gone by tomorrow morning. I've said give him a chance, maybe that game, but I think that's got to be enough now. I think we need to bring in, you know, a new manager. If not, then they're probably going to give him the Crystal Palace game. And if he does get the Palace game, and if we lose that one, for me, that's alarm bells. So we'll have to get rid of him, because looking at the table at the minute, we are so way behind Leeds, who are 17th, by the way, but already 3 points adrift.
Exactly. That is so worrying. Well, we know the game had to be abandoned at some point because one of the fans in the crowd suffered a cardiac arrest. Paul's told me he's in hospital, he's stable, so we're glad we hear the news that the lad is all right.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, someone's life is more important than football. You've got to take your football head off and think of someone's health, and I'm glad that he's in a stable condition. I was very worried for the guy or whoever it was at the time. I didn't quite see, but you know, at the end of the day, fair play to those, you know, involved in, you know, helping them. You know, the emergency services have done a fantastic job, and for me, they don't get enough credit. And for this, you know, for how quick they got it done as well. And I feel like it was the right call, you know, to call the game for, you know, at least time to get it sorted out. But you know, my thoughts are with them who are in hospital right now, and hopefully they can get back to, you know, watching football very, very soon.
Yeah, well, brilliant, thank you. Dean, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. You were sitting with me the day. We had a cracking atmosphere at the beginning with the whole takeover, but just Newcastle's performance again, absolutely terrible.
Yes, I agree. It's been terrible. But the first 15 minutes, we just started off really, really well. First 2 minutes, Callum Wilson, great header goal. And the atmosphere was bouncing up and down. And I thought, we've got a chance now. We can start a bit like that. What happens after that? Tottenham just dominated. First like from the first half right through to the second half, just dominated. And Harry Kane finally got his goal, but he actually beat the offside trap, and it's just the third one was just too easy, absolutely too easy. Song scored one of his most easiest goals he's ever going to score in his career, and we just, to be honest, we just sat back and we just didn't defend, and that was it. It was just typical this, typical that. Honestly, it's just absolutely dreadful what I've seen. Honestly, don't get me wrong, the atmosphere was fantastic. The fans were cheering, the flags were out. And honestly, I felt goosebumps before the game because I never felt goosebumps for a long time. So it's just amazing. But then they went down after that, and then next May it was just absolutely dreadful, really, really dreadful.
Yeah, well, Bruce, that's his 1,000 game he's had. They've given him it. That's got to be his time over now. It has to be now.
I would say yes. He's had his 1,000. That's it. He's had so many chances. The owner's seen what, give him a chance, see what he can do on his 1,000 game. And if he didn't do it, then that's him gone. I would say 100%. He is 100% gone. He's just typical Bruce that he's had so many chances, and lucky enough, the owner gave him a chance to get his 1,000 game. But I think it is his time. His time is done now. I want him gone tomorrow. If he's not gone tomorrow, my God, Crystal Palace. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, and I'm travelling down there next Saturday as well. If we do get rid of Bruce, but don't bring a new manager in yet, should we give Graham Jones a chance to see what he can do against Palace for one game, possibly?
It's hard to say for me. I would give Graham Jones a chance with what he's been doing as assistant coach so far. I would give him a chance, like a temporary charge until the owners find a new manager. I would give him a chance, but for me, a long term, no. I'll rather see a new manager that will bring something passion and also give the players a boost that they need to go into games like home and away. That's what I need from a manager, and not just tactic like that. What Boost does is just five in the back. Five is not going to work. At the end of the day, you got to try something different.
Still, I mean, we're four at the back, but we're still leaking in goals. We're terrible at the back. Midfield is garbage. Willock again was dreadful once again. When you take Wilson off as well, you struggle for goals. Joe Linton, sloppy at times. Shelby, what's he doing? What is he doing? Do you think he had to do that?
He shouldn't have done that. He only came on for the first 3 minutes in the second half and did the thing like that. Typical Shelby, honestly. 2 bookable offence and you got sent off like that. It's absolutely pathetic. And he even played the under-23s last Monday. Didn't show his good performance in the under-23s. What's wrong with him? At the end of the day, you got a chance to prove yourself to the fans and when you do that, you get sent off for that for 3 minutes, only be in the second half. Honestly, absolute joke for why he's been. Absolute joke.
Certainly was. I mean, well, we knew what happened. There was an incident that happened in the crowd from where we were sitting. Well, you could see what was happening. There was some bloke trying to give one of the fans CPS after suffering a cardiac arrest. Paul's just said to me, he's gone to hospital, he's stable, so it looks like he's going to be okay, but thoughts are with with the fans' family.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a person's life more than football, because at the end of the day, where I was sitting, it was like I saw that fan was giving him a right CPR. Honestly, it looked like it was something wrong, really, really wrong. And the fans were waving to the referee just to stop the game, And thank God they did, because honestly, he looked in a very bad way where I was positioned. It was really, really bad. Honestly, thank God he's pulled through, and my gods are with him and plus his family and friends. And hopefully, he might come back to Newcastle at some point soon, and the best thing about the fans, they've been absolutely fantastic, giving a standing ovation, and well done to the medics who reacted quickly, and well done to the fan. Fair play to him to react quickly, because if he didn't react quickly, it would have been a different story. But my God's word to them.
Exactly. Cheers, man.
Cheers, man.
Dave, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. Cracking atmosphere at the start in regards to the whole takeover celebration, but Newcastle just being typical Newcastle. Just another poor performance. Terrible once again.
Yes, absolutely. I think that the thing for me was that before the match, 1 or 2 people said that Bruce would ruin the day, but in fact the team ruined the day, because first 20 minutes they were okay. We scored, we went ahead, and we could have taken it to Spurs, because we all know Spurs' defence is not good. Their attack's excellent with Son and Kane, but their defence is hopeless, and we didn't, I think, other than that first few minutes, put them under great pressure. And we could have done, we should have done, but, again, once again, Mr. Bruce with his tactical awareness, well, I say tactical awareness, he hasn't got any, couldn't change anything. And as ever, he brings substitutes on far too late. He brings Fraser on, who's 5 foot out, and they start to hoof the balls 10 foot in the air. Well, it's typical of the man.
Yeah, that was Bruce's 1,000 game. They've given him it. That's got to be the end now for Bruce at this football club. Surely the trigger's got to be pulled on him now.
I agree. I think that did they give him the 1,000 game to be magnanimous to him? Possibly not. But you're absolutely right, Peter. He's got to go, and he's got to go now. The time is long since past where this man should be at our club, and now's the time.
Exactly. I mean, if we do sack Bruce but we don't get a replacement in, should we give Graham Jones an opportunity for 1 or 2 games possibly?
I think you've got to. I mean, when Bruce goes, the other 2 Steves, Agnew and Clark, will go with him. I would have thought, and the only man who would be left would then be Graham Jones. And then what do? You've got to bring a couple of people from the academy and the reserves to fill in. And let's face it, they can't do any worse.
Certainly can't. I mean, we're leaking in goals where midfield is terrible, and when you take Wilson off, we do struggle to score him as well. Shelvey, what's he doing? What's he thinking of?
I honestly think, I said a few times that Shelvey was my favourite player for a long time. That was a few years ago. He's not the man he used to be. He still, I think, would have a game in one of the lower leagues. But I mean, you can't come on after such a long layoff and get 2 silly, and both were silly yellow cards to get sent off. It's just not good enough. I mean, but there again, the few minutes he was on, he did show some of those good passes he's able to do. But he'll be out for 3 games, rightly so.
1 game because it was a second yellow.
Was it all right? Okay, well, even so, 1 game. But would you want to risk that happening again? Possibly not. But it's just not good enough. I mean, it's poor professionalism. It really is. What were 3-1 down at the time? I can't remember now. Yes. And to do that, I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's hopeless. And it's something that a guy of his standing in the game, how long has he been a professional? 10, 15 years. You just don't do that sort of thing. But he managed to do it. So I despair at times. I really do.
Said he does well. The game had to be stopped at one point because of a fan suffered a cardiac arrest in the crowd. I don't know if you could see it because you sit in the stand, don't you? Could you see what happened?
No, I couldn't see it. I mean, one of the mates who sits on the front row, he could see it. And the good thing is, from what you understand from the Chronicle now, he's been taken to hospital and he's stable, which is good. I mean, it was terrible what happened, and I just pray that he makes a full recovery and he gets back to his family very soon.
Silly does. Cheers, Dave.
Thank you.
John, Newcastle United 2, Spurs 3. What a cracking atmosphere in regards to the takeover celebrations, but Newcastle do what they always do best and absolutely bollocks it up once again.
Pete, where do I start, mate? Where do I really start? I mean, the only good thing about the game of the day was the atmosphere before the game. That's the best thing scoring. But we started so well, didn't we? The first 2 minutes, Wilson scored. I thought he did well. I thought he scored a good goal, and then played well for 15 minutes. And then after that, I just started off talking Shaggy and said we're a pile of shite, were we? I mean, Spurs came back into the game. All the 3 goals conceded were absolutely shambolic. It really was. And where do you go for here, man?
Exactly. I mean, well, that was Bruce's 1,000 game in charge as a Premier League manager. They've given him it. That's got to be the end for him now at this football club. It has to be now.
Should be the end of his time as Newcastle manager last season. And it took until now to realise how pathetic he is, man. I mean, Steve Bruce, not being funny, right, but I want him gone. Didn't want him in at all whatsoever, Pete. And it just goes to show that he ain't good enough for this level. He's not. And I'll go further than that as well. They do not want to play for this guy. They don't. And not only that, look at the second half again. Look at the players. They got the shoulder to blame as well, mind. I'm not going to lie. But did they really want to play for this manager? Not me.
I don't think anyone does want to play for this idiot in charge now. He surely has to be gone after that. I mean, the goals were conceded. I mean, they were far too easily. Defensively, we'll get cut adrift again.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's just poor defending. I've been saying this our season. It needs a new back four, new back five. That aren't good enough. Not for this new era, not for this new regime. It needs to be ripped up again in January. And that's, if they don't get ripped up in January, we get relegated, Pete. And I'll tell you what, mate. They have not signed a centre half since 2018. Right? The 3 seasons. It hasn't been fixed up. And yet, we persevere with these 5 defenders that are not good enough at this level. And how many more times I have to keep saying this and that all the time? It needs ripping up. Not just the defence, the midfield. The midfield is shocking. I'm sorry, it ain't good enough. Again, let's be real. I mean, Sean Longstaff, his head is completely turned for me. I'm sorry.
Willock was poor again. Another awful performance.
Yeah, I mean, the Joe Whittaker I saw last season, it's not the Joe Whittaker I watched this season, yeah. I think Arsenal mugged us off for £25 million. Look, I'm not going to cuss him out, I'm not going to call him out yet, I'm not going to tap out on him yet, but it's down to the manager, and he's just not allowing him to play how he wants to play. That's the thing. Isaac Hayden, I think he's gone slightly backwards for me, I ain't going to lie. The whole midfield are not good enough, yeah. And I feel sorry for Wilson today because he had no service whatsoever, right? ASM has been trying to spits again, and you know what it is, right? But I feel sorry for ASM and Wilson, right? If you don't get the service, they're not going to get goals, right? Simple as that.
Exactly. Well, if Bruce was to get the trigger pulled on him, but we don't bring a manager, would you look at giving Graham Jones 1 or 2 games till we get a replacement?
I'm going to have to say no. It has to be someone's going to come in who's on attach, yeah? There's plenty of managers out there, right? You've got Eddie Howe, you've got Frank Lampard, you've got Lucien Favre, right? There's one manager I'll go for as well, for in my personal opinion, right? Why not give Paulo Fonseca a go from Roma? He used to manage Roma. Why not give him a go? I mean, okay, he had a poor interview when he was Tottenham manager, because apparently he had a poor interview, but at the end of the day, he plays good football. I mean, he didn't quite call it Roma, but listen, at the end of the day, I'd take him, take a punt on him. Do you know what I mean? But if you ask this the manager should be, I mean, oh man, it can't get any worse than either Lampard or Gerrard. But whoever comes is going to be better than Steve Bruce anyway, Pete.
Yeah, it certainly will be, yeah. Well, the game had to be stopped at one point because there was an image, fan suffered a cardiac arrest. We've heard he's been taken to hospital, he is stable, so it looks like he is alright, but that was a heartbreaking moment to see.
The United just sent a tweet out and basically said that the guy's going to be okay, and which is a fantastic news. But I just hope that the lad's okay, and I hope he gets better very, very soon, and for his family as well. And it was absolutely howling what happened there. I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm glad the good news come out. It's going to be okay.
Brilliant, thanks John. Thank you.